Hey animal lovers, welcome to today's video. So today I'm just going to be going over my aquariums because only my aquariums have something to talk about. How about we start with the not so good news, and that's over here. Unfortunately, Rudolph, or Rudy, has passed away unexpectedly. He was my red veil-tail betta that I only got to have for about 7 or 8 months. I guess I just put this here in memory of him. It came from his cup that he came in. There is no water in here, if you couldn't tell. So Rudolph was a special little guy, very active. Ever since I got him, he belonged in a much bigger tank than I gave him. I was hoping this fish would be the fish that finally lived to old age, because I've had tons of betta fish and they all died of either an illness or an accident, and this time I did everything right and he still didn't last because of an accident. A pretty mysterious accident actually, which I'll get into. But first I want to say that he was being treated for the fin rot he had. I did treat him for fin rot for a couple of weeks. I used the whole bottle of that cheap medicine and I didn't get to see if it really worked because he suddenly died. There wasn't any evidence of it working after the first week, so maybe I won't try that medicine again if I ever have a betta with fin rot again. So yeah, that's too bad he didn't get to be all better from fin rot. So the day of the accident, it was morning. I went to feed him and he's usually there ready to eat, but he wasn't this time, and this has happened before where he didn't show up for eating and I totally thought he was dead. I didn't know what happened to him that first time. He just completely disappeared. I couldn't find him anywhere. I just assumed he was dead because I was starting to take out all the decorations and he still wasn't showing up. Finally, when I was going to take out the grass mats, and I already looked through them from the bottom of the tank, through the sides, I really searched to look for red. I mean, he's a red fish, he should be easy to see, but I couldn't see him until I was taking out the last grass mat, and out he came, kind of floating at first down, but then he shot up to the surface and I'm like, you're alive. What? So because of that having happened before, this last time I thought he was stuck in the grass mat again, and again I couldn't see him anywhere. So I started taking out everything, and then I started getting confused that I still wasn't seeing him, like, at all, even in the grass mats. I checked everything twice, inside the decorations, inside the filter, not that he could get in that, and I looked thoroughly throughout the grass mats. I even looked down at the floor, but still no sign of him. Now this tank does have a lid on it, so he shouldn't be able to jump out. There are little holes at the ends of the lid, but that would take some precision to get through those holes. But when I wasn't finding him in the tank anywhere, I finally did find him on the ground, on the left side of the tank in the shadow. And that's why I didn't see him before, because he was kind of in the dark and he was already dried up at that point and not a bright red. So yeah, that was not fun to find. The worst way to die is if you have to suffer first. So yeah, I try not to think about it because then I just get really sad for him that he had to go through that. Anyway, I miss him. Each betta has their own personality and traits to admire, and it's just a shame I didn't get to have him for very long and experience those special qualities of his, or to give him anything new. But he was happy for the most part. And that's the update on this first tank. Let's move on before this video gets too long. So this is my 40-gallon tank, and it's going to be a community fish tank. I've just been waiting for this bamboo to grow. I want all the leaves to be above the surface of the water so that they don't die as easily. That's the idea anyway. As you can see, some of the leaves are up, but a lot of the others are not. I noticed not too long ago that these ones were probably growing faster because they didn't have a second one to feed, whereas a lot of these smaller ones did have a second branch, which I have since taken off and replanted elsewhere. I was thinking today that this is probably too much bamboo and it won't leave much room for fish. So when a few more of these taller ones get above the surface, I may take out the ones that haven't grown at all, it seems, out and spread out these taller ones, which the roots aren't gonna like, but hopefully they get reestablished okay. Anyway, hopefully it won't be too much longer until I can get fish for this tank. I do replace the water now and again just to refresh it in case the plants appreciate that. So yeah, not much to say on this tank, just that it's grown a lot and we're getting closer. So on to the final tank. We're gonna head on over here to the axolotl tank. Yay. He has grown quite a bit. I'm pretty sure he's a he. I think I can tell now. So yay about that, because I've been calling him a he. Yeah, I think he has gotten a bit bigger. I'm still doing 90% water changes, not every day but every other day, because the ammonia is always really high, and every other day the water is already cloudy looking. So yeah, it's just become part of a routine, I guess. I do the water change in like the middle of the night when the water is colder, because the days here have been pretty hot. And I also, during every water change, put a couple of frozen water bottles in the tank to help cool down the new water, although luckily the water has never been above 75 degrees. And I always give him a worm afterwards, so he's always looking around when the water change is done, and even trying to eat the fake plants. I'm pretty sure I feed him enough. I do have a schedule on the fridge of what days I feed him. Whichever of those days that I don't do a water change, I give him pellets instead of worms, but I think all the other days I give him at least one worm, usually two though nowadays, and then also pellets. Speaking of worms, the worms are doing well. They've made a lot of babies, but I'm pretty much just left with babies and they're not growing fast enough, so I did just order more worms, and hopefully that will catch things up to where I don't have to buy new worms again. So anyway, let's look at Moji. So there he is, super adorable. And giving him pellets is fun because it's kind of like a game where you have to try to get it right above his nose so that he'll actually catch it. Sometimes during water changes, I will put my hand in the water and pick him up, which he's fine with, and he just rests in my hand. He uses my fingers to hold on with his legs so he can just float. He does that with the plants. Axolotls feel so soft. I try not to touch him too much in case he has like a slime coat that shouldn't be ruined, but I figure if he touches me, it's okay. I mean, he touches other things in the tank. I don't see why I would be different. I try to change up his decorations every few water changes just to give him a different playground setup, and perhaps one day I will get some live plants in here, which will hopefully help with the water quality, and maybe even just some different decoration. I'm not sure if there's anything else to update on him other than he's bigger and still doing good. Oh, and this. It's a little crocheted Moji. So adorable. My sister made this for me. She surprised me with it and she did a really good job. Hello. He just hangs out up here on the fan. Don't really have anywhere else to put him.